If I was a good host, I'd do our opening in Gullah, but I can't. Maybe our guest can. Who is he? You'll meet the author coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the community room of South Carolina Bank and Trust in Murrells Inlet. We're focused on the history of the Gullah people. And we're visiting with the author of 2 books about the subject, Mr. Thomas Pyatt. Good morning, Mr. Pyatt.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
What about this 7 a.m. on a Friday? What about this South Carolina Bank and Trust building? It is beautiful.
It's very nice. Very nice.
It is fancy. Thank you for coming in early.
I enjoyed coming this early. Sure did.
Absolutely. And it's so amazing to think about this very broad topic and having the author of 3 books who's got a 4th book on the way, and 2 of which are about the Gullah people. It's fascinating.
Yes, I retired in 2002, so I had to do something. I didn't want to just quit and just relax and take it easy. So I've been planning on doing this for quite a while. And since I retired, I came back down to just document some of the thoughts and experiences I've had as a child. Because my father was born and raised on Sandy Island.
Your father was born and raised on Sandy Island. Probably
yes.
A lot of our viewers may not be familiar with Sandy Island. We're sure going to get into that.
Yes, it's just below Brook Green Gardens, only about 25 miles away from Myrtle Beach, on 17 South, going down. And so he was born and raised over there in a little village called Annie Village. And the Annie Village was named after his mother, my grandmother. And
Annie Village was named after your grandmother.
Yes,
that's
my
fascinating.
father's mother. Yes, that's how they did it back in those days. And actually, half of the village, my grandmother's sister lived in the other half of the village, and they were both widows. Their husband had already died, so they were the matriarchs of the village. And my father was born and raised over there, and he worked over there as a child. His father died when he was 13.
Is that right?
Yes, so he went to work at 13, and he moved to Conway, where I was born and raised in Conway. He left Sandy Island about in the 30s, 1930, maybe 35, 38, only there. And so we came to Conway. He worked in Conway, and he bought a house in Conway. 1946, he built a house in Conway. He worked in the Wilmington shipyard during the war years. So
is that right?
Yes. So he was able to save some money and get buy a house there. So we grew up in Conway, and I went to school in Conway. But in the summertime, since my mother and my father wanted to work, and we were young kids, so we couldn't really stay home all day by ourselves.
Right.
So it was very convenient for him to send us to Sandy Island for the summer.
Is that right? So you were over there during the summertime?
Yes, as a young kid. Actually, probably in 1949, 50, 51. That's a long time ago, before you were born. But it was really nice in those days because we'd take the Greyhound bus from Conway all the way down to Brook Green Gardens, 17, get off in front of Brook Green Gardens, walk through Brook Green Gardens. There was an old boat dock on the back of Brook Green Gardens. They only had rowboats in those days. You paddle them across, or you row them across the river.
Right.
So we'd get in there, and my uncle and my cousin would row us across the Waccamaw River. It was a slow ride back in those days, no motorboats.
Oh, yeah.
And so the boats were real small. You sit in the boats almost like you really on a piece of cardboard just floating across the Waccamaw River.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
And we go to the old boat dock, which was really just a little east of Annie Village. So we'd get there, and we'd take out our groceries and whatever else we had, and walk from boat dock all the way to Annie Village, which was about not quite a quarter of a mile.
How large is Sandy Island physically? And when you speak about the village, you mean the village of?
Annie Village. That's just one settlement on the island. There's actually 3 settlements on the island, 3 Gullah settlements on the island. The main one is actually Mount Arena, which is right. There's a new landing to come across the St. Albans. Now it's right down from Brook Green Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
You go down a little bit, then you take the St. Albans Road. Then you go down the road about 3 miles, and you get to the landing.
Right.
I think they kind of built a little. They cut out a creek that leads toward the Walkmore River.
Right.
So it's about about a mile and a half, 2 miles south of Annie Village.
Mm.
That's Mount Arena, the main settlement.
Say that again. That's Mount Arena.
Mount Arena.
Mount Arena.
Right,
Okay.
which is the main settlement. That's where everybody goes over there now. Because the old boat dock that I used to go to,
Mm-hmm.
it's overgrown. It doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we go to the new boat dock now, Mount Arena, and we park our cars at the landing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we get on the boat. Now we have motorboats,
Right.
so it's a lot
A
easier.
little easier than
Yeah, a lot
rowing
easier.
across
Right.
in the summertime.
You get over there quicker now. You just go across, and my cousins now they live at Mount Arena, which is right by the Walkmore River.
Right.
They grew up in Annie Village, which is about a mile and a half just north of there, to the east. And so what I did, I tried to document what I did as a kid and show the good times that I had over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a kid, we didn't really have to work that hard. We helped the adults as if they needed help, but they
Mhm.
did all the work pretty much. They took care of all the livestock. And in those days, the livestock, the cows and the hogs and whatever could roam around on the land and graze and graze out there. But now you can't do that anymore. 'Cause
Really?
it's all privately owned now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not privately owned, but St. Albans is about 12,000 acres. And
I was going to ask.
nine-
It's that large, 12,000 acres.
About 12,000 acres.
Well, that's pretty
Yes.
good size. How many is that? I'm not good with square miles, but that's pretty
I
big.
think they say it's about 4 miles wide and 7 miles long.
Is that right?
Yes, but the thing now is that the state of South Carolina owns a little over 9,000 acres.
Of the 12.
Yes, so it's really it's a preserve now. The state of South Carolina owns that. They did it to, I guess, to mitigate the wetlands when they were building. I guess was 31.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I think they said they paid like $10 million, $11 million for the island, and then they saved like $60 million on the construction costs because
Right.
they had to set aside wetlands. So now 9,000, I think it's 9,164 acres are set aside, for the people of South Carolina.
Sure.
But the other portion is the
Or the 3 settlements you were
3 settlements.
Mhm.
And the Gullah people owns, I think they at one time owned about 300 acres. It's maybe a little less than that now because it's really only like 110 to 130 Gullah people over there at this point in time.
110 to 130 who live in there
Yes.
full time now.
Right, yes.
Mhm. For a viewer who hadn't been down there before, now when you were traveling down there as a kid, as you said you went through Brook Green Gardens, was it Brook Green Gardens then?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know they were celebrating, I guess they're celebrating the anniversary recently, and it may be a 75th or so anniversary, so I guess it,
Right.
so you had good access through Brook Green Gardens back then.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's tremendous.
Yes. In fact, Brook Green Gardens was the home of some of the rice plantations along
Right.
the Walkmore Neck, the Walkmore River.
Right.
And Brook Green Gardens, it was, I think that was founded by Archer and Anna Hyatt Huntington.
That's exactly
And
right. yeah.
they built the old St. Albans School over there in the 1930s.
Is that right?
Yes. The building still stands today. It serves as a library now. They're using it as a library.
Is that right? So
Yes.
now the children get to school by, I guess they use the,
They have a school boat. In fact, the only school boat in the state of South Carolina that's owned by the state of South Carolina is the St. Albans School boat. They call it the Prince Washington.
Prince Washington.
Prince Washington.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Something a lot
It
of
is.
folks probably don't know about.
No, I think there's another school boat in the Fusky Island, but
Uh-huh.
I think that's contracted out.
Is that
But
right?
the school boat here is owned by the state of South Carolina.
That's
It
fascinating.
is very
Thomas.
much. It really is.
As you imagine and think back to, so there's 3 Gullah settlements.
Yes.
Is that
just
correct?
three-
There
just
on
three.
Sandy Island, but there's many more Gullah people in the state or in the country than
Yes.
folks would imagine.
Yes, yes. And that's what I tried to do in my second book, the Gullah history along the Carolina Low Country.
Yeah, let me hold that up. Gullah history along the Carolina Low Country. Can you
Uh-huh.
see that okay? That's
Yes.
just a great shot there. And of course, that's your second book.
Yes, yes.
And of course, both your first book, The Gullah People of Sandy Island, which I have here, The Gullah People of Sandy Island, that first book.
That's a lot of that is about my personal experiences on the island growing up.
That is
And,
fascinating.
I take you back over like almost 6 decades from the
Now,
time.
not to date you, that's right. Not to figure out how old you
Right.
are, but you've given it up a little bit
Right,
there. Yeah.
right. I think that's one of the main things I wanted to do, just to document everything that was back there and to show
There's some
how the
magnificent
changes.
pictures in here. As I was going through the book early this morning,
Mhm.
you've got a lot more pictures than the last couple of books, but this still had quite a few pictures, which was fascinating. The Sandy Island school boat
Mhm.
leaving Mount Arena and crossing the Wakamal River
Yes.
to return to the Sandy Island landing. It is amazing. Are these all pictures that you took?
Yes. Over the years, as I went over there for reunions and different things, I'd take my video camcorder and take pictures. Then I'd come back home and run it through my computer and just print
Mhm.
it out.
That is
So it
incredible.
worked out
Of
really
course, some
well.
of these photos here, I don't know if folks can, you obviously can't zoom in on them except to see that there are photos there and people relaxing at Mount Arena. It's amazing, and of course the depth of some of these. What's it like to have now written 3 books and be working on a 4th? That's pretty intimidating.
Yes, what I wanted to do was document my experiences and some of the history of the area, especially along the Carolina Low Country. But I wanted to do it in a creative and innovative manner
Yeah.
that hasn't been done before. And so I just kind of was doing experimenting a little bit and coming up
Mhm.
with some different things. And I wanted to do everything myself. I wanted to, write it myself. I wanted to edit it myself. I typed everything myself, and I couldn't print it myself, so I used a printer.
Yeah.
But the thing I did is that I went on the internet and got a lot of information about book publishing.
Good.
There's a lot of information online that you can with respect to the book trade. It tells you
Right.
how to get started. It tells you how to get everything you need, the copyrights. It tells you how to get your barcodes. In fact, the barcodes, a lot of the stores, they won't let you sell them unless you have a barcode.
Is that right?
That's correct.
That's-
And the government issues barcodes. I guess it's a government agency.
Right.
And so I went on the online. I got information online that tells you to go to isbn.org or whatever
Right,
it is.
right.
.gov. And so you get everything there, and then I just order my barcodes online from this company in New York. And they
And
send
then,
it
of
back
course,
to me
you
as a
provide
check-
them with your
check.
printer so that they can get them on all the codes, or do you have to stick those on separately?
No, these are. You can get them to stick them on separate if you want to, but
Right.
what I do, I get them as a master, as a JPEG, file, color file.
Sure.
And what I do, I just put them on the black and white art that I send
Right.
to the printer, and they print them on just like they're printing it, just like part of the page.
That is tremendous.
It's really
to
incredible
really
what they can
speed
do.
things along
Yes.
when you're checking out at Barnes & Noble
Yes,
or Walden
yes,
Books
yes,
or
yes.
Books A Million or
That's
so
correct.
many of the places I saw online. You've got a ton of stuff. Amazon.com has
Yes.
all of your works listed. It's pretty exciting probably to be associated with Amazon.com or BN.com
Yes.
or BooksandBam.com. I
Yes.
mean, it must be exciting.
It was very rewarding to do this because when I first went into the workforce, I was in the workforce like 42 years.
Mm.
I was basically in the 20th century technology. We had no credit cards, no ATM machines, no electronic banking, no cell phones,
Right.
no computers. We had the manual typewriter when I first started working
Oh,
in
yeah.
government. We did reports by typewriting.
You
Yeah.
worked with the government.
Yes, I worked for the government. Yes,
Mhm.
and so nowadays you can do everything just on your computer, pretty much.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
that's what I've done.
That's fascinating.